Welcome to the Big Movement Podcast. If you're ready to create results and make huge strides in your business, finances, personal development, and health, then you're in the right place. Pushing past excuses and powering through procrastination can be a challenge alone. Here, you'll get the support, tools, and knowledge you need to get to the level you desire in your business and life. Let's get started with your host, Byron Ingram.
And welcome to another episode of the Big Movement Podcast. Today, we have a special guest. We have Sara Speicher, who, believe it or not, moved over 4,000 miles across the Atlantic to play in NCAA Division I basketball, barely speaking English, got her MBA, and started a business in 2011 when she lost her job in the same week. So it's an amazing interview that we're going to really explore. How do you overcome so many obstacles where people might think, how did you do it? Well, we're going to dive right in there. So let's give a welcome to Sara. So Sara, welcome.
Thank you, Byron, for having me, and hello, everyone.
So now, Sara, tell us a little bit about your background, because not very many people in the world would move across, any ocean, barely speaking any of the language, and then become successful. So how did you do it?
If it was up to me, I would still be where I grew up because I had no intentions of moving anywhere that was more than 30 minutes away from home, to be honest. But when that invitation came in email, are you interested in playing for us? It's like, who are you? Why are you calling me? Where did you find me? And I spoke to my parents about it. They said, well, that's a huge honor. Go give it a try. If you don't like it, you can always come back. Like, okay, I guess I'll give it a try. I played basketball at home, needless to say, and home to me was a small medieval town of 10,000 in Europe. One of those with, red clay rooftops, picturesque, and the castle sitting on top of the hill, and 10,000 people. Everybody knows everyone. So moving to New York City was a big deal. And I remember coming on campus at 1:30 in the morning. It was pitch dark. I was like, okay, where the heck am I? So that was 12 years ago. We went from, the journey as a student athlete was something that I could have not imagined, because the system overseas is way different when it comes to combining academics and athletics. So I had a lot of fun. Of course, there was time when I was really homesick and I almost gave it up, went home, but I pushed through that. I ended up being the first in the family to receive undergrad degree, went on to receive master's degree, got a job in the midst of the Great Recession. So I felt really lucky with that. My husband and I just moved out of New York City, bought a house, bought the car. So we were about to start a family, and it happened. Well, the same week we found out we were expecting our first child, I lost my job. So it's like, wow. Okay, now what? Up until that point, I did not have a moment of a break. It was just go, 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 go. What's next? So I knew that I was on a deadline that wasn't mine, and that I had to figure something out, because I had no intentions whatsoever of giving up my 6-week-old baby to somebody's care, hoping for the best, and hopping on a ferry and train and subway to get back to work. Which used to take me 2.5 hours door to door. I had no interest in doing that again. So we figured, well, let's see if we can start a business. We crunched the numbers. I took a look into what skills that I have that I can bring to the table, what's needed out there, what adds value to potential clients, who would that even be, how I could serve them, the whole 9 yards. So at 2011, I settled on virtual assistants. It was the only thing that I knew at the time that was virtual, so I could still travel back and forth. The funny thing is, I soon realized that I am not good in taking orders, and I am not good in dealing with details, me handling the details. I will see them, I'll point them out. I'm great in managing details, but don't ask me to handle them. So as a result, I ended up building a team around me that supported me and my newborn, and then toddler. After that, and the clients, and we grew. It was an amazing journey that by the time my second one was born, I was able to give myself 3 months of paid maternity leave while my clients were taken care of. Everything came down crumbling soon after that. I was fighting postpartum depression. And that when I mentioned that in all these years, I never took time to really evaluate who am I, what I stand for, what I want to do. With a toddler at home and a newborn in my lap, that was the first time it hit me that maybe it was time to rethink things. So I ended up scratching the virtual business management part and completely restructured my business. It was quite a process. It was quite a learning experience. It cost me a lot in trial and error. It cost me a lot in investing in the right support to get me to where I am today. But it was such an incredible journey that I'm really, really grateful for. So today, when I talk to you, I speak through a lens of a consultant and strategist, business consultant and strategist, which is what I've always knew. Is that what I'm supposed to be doing? And continuously supporting my online-based clients, coaches, consultants, online service providers. And it's been amazing, amazing, amazing.
Now, that's quite the journey, because when you hear of people today, you might hear excuse after excuse why they can't succeed at something. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when you first moved here, you didn't speak much of the language, correct?
That is correct. And I was very lucky. Among all the majors in school, I picked journalism. And that was the one that you had to have, brilliant English. But I was really lucky to have two professors. They still teach at the university all these years later, who really took me under their wings and spent extra amount of time, extra effort to really get me up to the speed. And I'm still in touch with them. Just the other week, I had an hour and a half long conversation with one catching up who, his son just had a baby. So it was a lot of family oriented conversation going on. So I really feel lucky to be introduced, to have the right people come into my life at the right time who make the journey much easier.
Right. And that's so critical. It doesn't matter what you're doing in life. You need to have the right people around you to succeed. Because if you didn't have those two professors, it probably would have been a little bit different of a journey.
Exactly. But then it's also, you said earlier, finding excuses. The breaking moment for me, the tipping point for me when I came to the States was I was very shy and quiet. And some people would maybe even say introvert. I never considered myself as one, but and even in practicing, I was really reserved. And my coaches were huge on communications. You have to be loud, you have to be heard, you have to communicate with your teammates. So they gave me a couple of weeks, nothing changed. I was still that teeny tiny shy person at 6'1", playing small on the court. Until one day, coach stood me in the middle of the court. She made the entire team sprint and said, okay, your choice. They sprint or you start speaking up.
Wow.
Okay, I guess I'll start talking then.
There's nothing like a little peer pressure to get you moving.
My teammates didn't even mind. They were like, okay, Sarah, come on, you got this. You're going to make the right choice. It's like, whoa, they really are behind me. That's awesome. I can't let them down.
Right. Exactly, because then it's no longer about you.
Exactly. So.
And there's that life lesson when you think about it, of how many times we have a gift, a talent, but we're holding it back in for other reasons, not realizing that there's other people who are going to benefit from what we have inside.
Exactly. And that really ties well. I'm so glad you brought this up. It ties in with entrepreneurship as well. We all start a business because we have something to offer, yet we hit those, you're being a serial entrepreneur, you know how it goes. And then you get into your own way. And it's all about you, oh, well, I don't like sales. I'm so bad in marketing. I don't want to put myself out there. Well, in reality, all you're doing, you're depriving people who really need you from being served and being helped and getting you as a resource to their problems. And it's pretty much, selfish if you think about it that way.
Right. Exactly. And that's so critical, just to put yourself out there. So when you restructure your business, what was the process you went through to start getting your name out there?
I realized and I learned that the approach that I took as a virtual assistant and business manager at the time did not work anymore as a strategist and consultant. It was entirely different conversations I had to have, entirely different pain points that my clients had, entirely different approach to even addressing them that I had to learn. So what I ended up doing is signing up for every single webinar out there, complete information overload. At some point, I admit I was feeling sorry for myself. I was angry at everybody, especially colleagues who seemingly started at the same time as I did, and they seemed to just explode out of nowhere immediately. I was like, why am I still, going baby steps? I know everything. I know more than some of them know. It really tipped me off when a colleague told me that she's paying for consulting $3,500 a month, and what she was getting was the same stuff I was giving away for free.
Wow.
I was like, whoa, time out. I really got to do something here. So what I ended up doing is just trying every single thing until I found what is that I'm strong at, what really resonates. And along the way, we were talking about the overnight success and trial and error. I put myself out there. I reached over 4,000 people via social media. I had dozens and dozens of sales conversations. I went from selling $20,000 packages to not selling one. I could not sell to save my life because everything was out of the alignment. I ended up making $100,000 worth of offers to the wrong people because of that, because I wasn't clear exactly what it is that I do, how do I help them. And I understand this is still a process, that even today what I stand for might change with the experience and might narrow down and might solidify, and it is a process. But it was one of the things that I was like, I made a commitment to my husband and I made a commitment to my family. I need to honor that, and I am not a quitter. I do not know how to quit. But it was also investing, because so often I'm being approached by entrepreneurs like, I need you, I need you, I need you. We schedule a call, they don't show up. We schedule a call, I need you, I need you, I need you. Okay, sure, it's going to cost you this much. Well, I can't afford that. I was expecting information for free. At one point you have to make a decision. And at one point you have to commit to yourself and invest into your business. And of course, there's going to be wrong investments. It doesn't mean that the person that you hired didn't know what to do. It might be the wrong fit. It might be the wrong time, but that shouldn't stop you on your quest to get to where you want to be.
Right. Exactly. And it's so critical, like you mentioned there, with marketing to the wrong people, because so many times people have this tendency, I can help everybody. Not everybody's, it doesn't matter what size of a company it is, not everybody's going to be their customer. Just as if you look at, let's say, a company like Walmart, there's some people that will never shop there. There's the same thing if you look at, let's say, a high-end store like Neiman Marcus. There's people that, will shop there every day and others who will never walk in the front doors.
Exactly. And what I noticed, and I hope this serves your audience well, I'm not saying this is the universal plan or universal answer, but even as a virtual assistant and now as a strategist, I noticed when I had very low prices, everybody was trying to nickel and dime me and no one was able to afford them. Every single time I increased them as a result, different kind of people started to approach me. So it went from, well, I can't afford you, to, well, let me think about it, to absolutely yes, when can we start? What form of payment do you accept? Can I pay you in full? Right. And also, you communicate differently. Your confidence is up when you can deliver, of course, and when you get all the baggage cleaned out from the mind, so you can actually stand behind the rates and the work that you do. But you're serving a very different level of people. You don't serve micromanagers anymore who are just looking for do-it-yourself resources. But you're serving to those who understand the value of being adequately supported. They understand the value of their work and how much it's costing them to be distracted from every single thing that they shouldn't be doing, may be trying
Right.
to strategize, maybe trying to figure out the next thing, whatever it is. So I just thought to bring it up because it's really a journey and an eye-opening experience that I've had.
Right. And when you think about it, in terms of pricing, when something's too low, you can easily attract the bargain shoppers who want, and there's that expression, champagne taste on a beer budget. So you could easily attract a certain type of audience there. But then when you think of abundance, it changes everything. It was earlier this year, and this was the best analogy when I heard someone use or in reference to abundance. If you were to look at like the NBA finals and the amount of money that people are paying to sit courtside or in the lower arena, some people paying $10,000 a seat, and people are even in the higher seats, paying $1,000 or more just to be there. Money is out there. It's just you have to position yourself to attract it, and that's it.
Exactly. And even attracting it, so many people have that one wrong, or just the one component. They think that, okay, I'm just going to sit here, I'm just going to journal, I'll meditate, I'll, do my yoga, I'll do my mindset work, and clients are going to flock to me. It doesn't work that way. You can have the best website out there, the best photo shoot out there, the best sales page out there. If no one sees it, it's not going to help you. So it's a lot of moving parts that goes into starting, running, growing the business and supporting clients the way that they need to be supported.
Right, exactly. So now, after you made that shift, you raised your prices, what have been the things you found most successful in attracting the clients that you've wanted?
That's a very interesting question. First and foremost, I had to understand that who I am and what I stand for and how I talk. Because for the longest time, I felt confined and suggested to stay small because it might be overwhelming to some. Not to use that vocabulary because it's too businessy. People don't talk businessy. And I was trying to do videos and posts, and it's like, something's missing. That's not right. That's not me. I'm not selling time management. I'm not selling, oh my goodness, guilt management techniques. Everybody feels guilty at one point, but that's not what I do. So once I understood that, once I claimed my mountain, so to speak, I was like, what? This is what I stand for. This is what I do. This is what I'm damn good at. And this is what I can talk about. And whoever resonates is going to come to me. That's fine. Whoever doesn't, whoever feels offended or repelled, that's not my audience anyway. So that was the first step. And then with the raising prices, what I also did, I'm not a coach. So for a long time, I tried to compartmentalize my prospects into, okay, this container or that one. That's not what I do. So they didn't fit in there. So once I understood that as a strategist and consultant, I might have base services, but they're still customized and I need to meet my clients where they are, not where I want them to be.
Right.
It got a lot easier.
Okay.
But again, for coaches it might be different. For health coaches, for business coaches, it might be different because we're all taught, have 3 services and present 3 services, and it doesn't work for all industries. I'm not a coach.
Right. And that's important that you understand that definitions right now, because there's so many people, they want to call themselves a coach because they think that I have to fit in this bucket. It's the only way to succeed, versus when you look at it, with there being over 7 billion people on the planet, that means there's 7 billion different ways to succeed in life.
Exactly. And I just had a conversation with somebody on the topic. It's very hard to see that when you're consistently in the same circles. And when you take a step back from the coaching industry, you see who are the thought leaders, who are the followers, what are the methods, what are the techniques, what are the strategies taught in those specific circles. So if you're unaware of that and you only want to do what your thought leader, the person that you admire and look up to be like, what they do, but it still doesn't feel quite right to you, it's your responsibility to step out and find yourself new resources, new circles, new people who are going to show you ways that are different. And another thing that I'm seeing, and it's such a sad thing, is you talk to life coaches and say, oh, I help you get more clients. You talk to nutritionists. Oh, I'm going to help you get more clients. It's like, well, stick to what you do. Stick to what you know best. And yes, maybe one of the consequences is more clients, but it's confusing. You don't have to be a business coach to make money if you're in it for money only. I know a lot of business coaches who are dead broke. I know a lot of nutritionists who are making 6 and 7 figure businesses. I know personal trainers who are making 6 and 7 figure businesses. And they never once mention the amount of money they're making. They never once mention the amount of money their clients are paying them. They don't even mention the clients that their clients are able to get because of their support. So it's just find your voice, find what you're really good at, and stick with it.
Right. And that's so critical because you see the trend of people wanting to do everything, where they think that, well, if I offer more and more and more, well, then I'm going to make more. Like, well, no, you're not. The generalists are not going to be the ones that do the best in this economy. People want specific solutions to problems. And it's about providing it.
Exactly. And of course, it comes with experience, and it comes with a lot of trial and error. It comes with sometimes you need to be a little sassy to take that stand. Sometimes you just need to be fed up with all the failures that you had. And it's like, okay, that's it. What needs to change? I'm done playing small. I'm done hitting those objections again. I'm done with this. What do I need to do to change that?
Right. Exactly. So now, when you're working with people, because you mentioned playing small, what have you found to be the biggest obstacle people need to overcome to go from playing small to playing big?
It's all about the decision. It's all about the decision. I had a client who has been in business, on and off a little bit, working her tail off, not seeing any results. And she's like, you know what? I can even close the doors, or I make a commitment and I invest and I'm going to climb out. In 2 years, she crossed the 6-figure mark. I had a client who made great money. They were able to have a great lifestyle at home, but they were working their tail off. And it's like, that's not what I want to do moving forward. I want to work less without compromising my revenues. So we found a way to cut down their work week by 20% at the time without compromising anything. Then there was a client who already had a team that was taking a lot of them to manage the team. And we figured out a way for them to really streamline operations, really tighten up their marketing, and really refine their position in a company to see what are the roles that they could bring on to help them with team management. And along the way, when we did that, they really had more time to do marketing and sales. So they went from 7 client contracts to 17 in the first 3 months of us working together.
Oh, excellent. And the key thing I gathered from what you just said there is that there's not that one-size-fits-all solution to achieving what someone looks for in life. Because if you think about a lot of programs that are offered out there, it seems they take the cookie-cutter approach. You do X plus Y, you're going to get, this happy life, but that's not the way it works.
It's tricky because we were just talking about do what you're good at. And if there's a cookie approach that works for you, but then you have to be very careful in your marketing and sales to make sure who this cookie approach is not going to work for. And it's not going to work for the 99% of population that's wired differently than you are.
Right. Exactly. And that's so important because if people are wired differently, they're going to be going around and around in circles trying to figure out what works instead of discovering who they are on the inside.
Exactly. And it's also, it takes me back to the years of basketball and coaches yelling at some of my teammates and literally cursing them out in the middle of the court. And really working with gloves with the other part, with other teammates, and really be soft-spoken, pulling them aside, talking to them gently. And we thought, like, what the heck? But it was all
Right.
about understanding what's going to get through them, what's going to work, and then having the rest of the team understand that too, because you have to understand how your teammates respond. You have to understand what works for them in order to effectively communicate and support them on a team. Because face it, if one of your teammates sucks, it's like a chain. One link is half broken, it's going to pop eventually. And the same goes in business. Now, depending on what you want to do as an entrepreneur, whether you're a consultant, coach, service provider, or any, whatever it is, you pick the lane, you put the parameters in place, and you play within those parameters. And you're really clear where the boundaries are, what the benefits are, what you bring to the table, what you give. And you just stick with that. And if it's cookie cutting approach, well, then just say it out loud. This is what you're going to get.
Right, exactly. And that's so important that from the very beginning what you're going to get and what you're not going to get. Because when you don't have clarity, I like to say, it's similar to, let's say you're trying to go from New York City to LA. If you don't know the exact destination, it's going to be one interesting journey because you're not going to go from anywhere specific. Oh, we're just going in that direction. Where's that? That way.
Pretty much.
Right. But you think about how many times in business, that's exactly what people end up doing. They don't know the destination, or they might know the destination, but they get the wrong guide. So it's like if in the days when we actually use maps instead of just pulling on our phones, someone wants to take that same trip, like, we're going to go to LA. Great. Let's pull up the map. It's a map of Europe. And that's not going to help them very much.
No, and I don't think there's LA in Europe.
Right, exactly.
I know there's a couple of European cities here in the States, but not the other way around. But
right.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. But of course, there's always going to be, it doesn't matter how you price your services, the people who are seeking free information, the ones who are just looking for the do-it-yourself information and will never invest. And they're the ones who are like, okay, let me invest a little bit just to try and just to see how it works. And they're the ones who say, okay, if it's less than $15,000, I'm not even going to bother. So it really depends on your market.
Right. Now, because you mentioned you deal with the free people, how have you dealt with them to kind of say that, here's the information I have, which is good for you, so read it and do what you want, versus them wanting to occupy your time?
That's a great question because I'm still working on that one. I'm really the type of person who wants to help everyone. And at one point I had to look at my two little ones at home and said, you know what? Every moment that I spend on a call with somebody who's not the right fit is time less that I have with them. And it's just not fair. And the tipping point was I was on a call with somebody. We had a great conversation. They were ready to really commit to working with me, and my baby sounded in the background, and the tone of their voice changed. It's like, how dare you be a mom, selfish, and run a business? I can never support you in that. Whoa. Okay, so You know what? I don't think we can work together. My colleague does the same thing that I do. She doesn't have a family. Let me make an introduction. I wish you all the best. But I was really taken aback. Even after they apologized, it's like, wow, holy, And it made me realize that I was not being authentic in communicating who I am, how I operate. And I know there's a fine line between private and, professional. But in thinking what we do and how we support our clients, I can't pretend to be working from my, skyscraper on Madison Avenue when I don't. It doesn't mean that the results my clients are getting are different. But with the way that I am clear about my working environment and times that I set to be available are going to attract a specific type of person. But with that, there was a fine line, I have to tell you. And I hope that serves your audience. I don't want to be offensive towards anyone or diminish anyone who is being a parent. But my experience has been that once I started to identify myself, I am a mom helping other moms. I began attracting moms who used that as a security blanket and as an excuse. Well, I don't have enough time. Well, I can't really focus. Well, I can't really make that investment right now. Like, okay, let me think. Let me see. I'm a mom, but personally, I use it as a driving force, as a motivator to get to the next level.
Right.
To be very selective with the time, how I spend it, with whom I spend it. And I was like, okay, you know what? I need to talk to more of those who are determined. Yes, there are moms, but that doesn't define them. And it's been like a day and night. Once I took that out of my marketing message, I serve moms, but it was I serve determined, goal-getter, high-achieving women, many of whom are moms. The whole world changed. So again, it comes down to communicating, to knowing who you are, to knowing how you stand, and going back to be really clear with you, what supports you. I found out that wasn't supporting me. It wasn't the best way to spend my time. And of course, it's tough sometimes when I get, just the other week, I posted something and I got 19 people responding back immediately. I want to talk to you. The old me would say, oh yeah, sure. Here's a link to my schedule. The new me, it took me a lot of money and a lot of time to invest into getting to that point. The new me was like, sure, absolutely. What can I help you with? And if we find a solution, are you willing and ready to invest XYZ ballpark? Oh, no, absolutely not. Well, sorry, then here's the resource page on my website, all the free video. There's my link to YouTube videos. There's link to my Facebook group. You can get all the free information there. I have to say I was really proud of me doing that because it's something that it took me so long to get to the point.
Right. And right there, that's so critical at putting that qualifier of asking people if they're ready to invest that XYZ, because there's some people, they don't understand the value and they're thinking, oh my gosh, this is I really need this. But when they realize, oh, I have to invest in myself, suddenly it changes. Like, why can't I get it for free? And you realize those are the people that are not your ideal clients versus those who say, okay, they don't even blink an eye.
Exactly. I mean, the beautiful part these days, with the technology available to us, I don't think it's ever been easier to be an entrepreneur as it is these days. It's so easy to find what works for you, what qualifiers you can put in place. And there are some who start with, their funnel is miles long with 35 different steps you take your prospects through. So by the time they go through the 31st, they are damn ready to buy from you, because they already jumped all those hoops. But that doesn't work for everyone. Then there are those who, let's say, would just put out an ad, a webinar on demand, sales call, boom, they sign up their clients. So it really is about finding a model that works for you and finding a model that resonates with your clients. And again, it's not a cookie cutting approach, but you have to know what you stand for, what you offer, and what kind of clients you're going to attract with that, and what you're going to respond to.
Right, exactly. So now you mentioned that you had posted online and you got those people to respond. What marketing platforms are you using currently to attract your ideal clients?
Great question. I am working with my consultant. We're just about to change a lot of things and really tighten up a lot of things. Facebook and LinkedIn were the primary resources of getting people reach out to me. In the meantime, I was doing regular podcast interviews like you and I are talking right now. I've been a guest on 5 summits over the past 2 months. So that got me some incredible exposure. And just nurturing relationships. I'm one of those power connectors who always sees possibilities, and I always connect people and stay in touch and follow up. And that served me extremely well, I have to say, too.
Right. And that's so critical that you nurture relationships, because so many people forget about that aspect. When they're marketing online, they look at people as just a number or just a head of cattle or whatever you want to call them in a system, instead of realizing there's a name behind every person out there. There's a story, a background, and it's that responsibility we have to cultivate the relationship, because you never know what relationship leads to something big.
Exactly. I mean, to be fair to those who have very sophisticated funnels and are bringing tens of thousands of people in on weekly, monthly basis, of course you can develop those relationships with each and every one of them. But at least you can still figure out who are those who you want to be connected with, might be influencers. Just Selena yesterday emailed out one of her case studies where she talked about how she started out through building relationships with thought leaders and seemingly exploded out of nowhere. But she was working on the behind the scenes for years, cultivating those relationships, giving. And yes, definitely stay in touch. It's hard. And just after our call, I actually have it scheduled to follow up with 6 people from 6 to 8 months ago. It doesn't mean, being on call every single time with them, but hey, just occasionally check in.
Right.
And hey, I just had an interview with Byron. I know you're looking for that kind of connection. You're a podcaster. He's a podcaster. Let me connect the two of you, see what you can guys come up with. Why not?
Right, exactly. And it's so critical because as you build your database of relationships, you never know who needs to be connected. I think that's one of those skill sets people have to start mastering. It's connecting the dots. Just keep little short notes of who does what. So when you hear something, it's that trigger, like, oh, you know what? These two people need to talk, because you never know when that turns into something. And because you did that, suddenly you're at the forefront of their minds because you helped them make something happen.
Exactly. And that was actually, I have to give credit for that to my first boss here in the States. When I was working, sitting next to her, she was a business owner, multiple 6-figure business in New York City. And I learned a great deal of entrepreneurship from her. And that was one of the skill sets she really was very strong on. She would come back from networking events with dozens of cards. Each and every one had a note. We went directly into the send out cards, and she would sit next to us and dictate, okay, this person, they know this one, make an introduction here, send this introductory email, send this thank you card. You know what, they really like cookies. Why don't you add cookies to that card? I was like, wow,
Right.
It is amazing what technology these days can do.
Right.
Because it's really easy. You can introduce people from New York and LA in a heartbeat.
Right. Oh, definitely. And that's the beauty about being an entrepreneur in today's age. You're not limited to the people that are within arm's reach anymore. If you think about it, turning back the clock, let's say 20, 25 years, the notion to be able to do business with people regularly that are the other side of the globe would have been more difficult unless you were a very large company.
Exactly.
But now it doesn't matter the size. You could just be a one-person shop and you could have clients all over the world.
Exactly.
It's just all about changing what's there. So now when you're looking at your business currently, what is it you're specifically offering to people? Because people want to know more about you and how you can help them.
I will try to keep it short because I'm so passionate about it that we can have another 3-hour conversation just about that.
Understandable. I know the feeling.
When I describe the journey of really solidifying what there is that I have to offer, I realized that each and every one of my clients, they came to me with the idea that they need to step up their marketing. In reality, their marketing didn't work because their business model was off. So the more that I did that, the more I realized that, you know what, it's the business model, it's the pricing structure, it's the service structure that really not just lights me up, but I'm damn good at it. And just the other week, I had a conversation with somebody. He's like, I'm trying to break through those $6,000 months, and I just don't know what's going on. And we had a conversation. We peeled back the layers. Like, do you realize you're sitting on an extra $40,000 right here with just this one thing that you can do? It's like, whoa, what? Yep. So that's what I bring to the table. It's helping my clients multiply their revenues in a way that will still be aligned with their strengths, core values, and their lifestyle.
Oh, excellent. And that's so important when you focus on those three, because when you think about strengths, so many times you hear people might say, oh, you got to build up your weaknesses. Well, they're weaknesses for reasons. You have to recognize them, but your weaknesses are also someone else's strength. So what's the best way to do it? Spend the years trying to build that up, or just hire somebody to do it?
Exactly. Or in our industry, it goes, there's the group of coaches out there who say, you go out and speak. Yes, it's a fantastic way to get out there, but not everybody wants to do it. Public speaking on the stage. Of course, we all do some form of speaking. Right. But again, it plays to your strengths. Not everybody wants to do it. So yes, are you going to invest time? Sure. Eventually, what can you do now that will supplement that lack of you being out there speaking? Let's take a look into that. And it also goes back to, when you mentioned, when you asked me what do I do with the limited amount of time I have for my clients. One of the very basic things that audience can do when they figure that they're not meeting their financial goals is to take a look at their capacity and what's possible. And 5 times, 4, 6, 7 times out of 10, I can guarantee it's they're undercharging themselves, and the services that they're offering are not structured in a way that supports them. So they can sell as much as they want, they can market as much as they want. They will not be able to meet their goals because they just don't have the capacity for that. Right. Or they will never be able to support as many clients to reach a financial goal. And that's especially, let's say, if you're talking about virtual assistants who are charging $10, $15, $20, $25 an hour and they want to make $10,000 a month. Like, well, let's have a conversation here.
Right. Yeah, you start doing the math of, well, let's see, if you gave up sleeping, eating, and everything else, you stand a remote chance.
You would be surprised how often I have those conversations. Mm-hmm. And again, not to offend anybody, but to me, that was one of the first things that I've done in my business. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just what do I want to make, but how do we reverse engineer, make it into actionable steps that will work. Oh, wait, I need 30 clients. I don't think I can support them one-on-one. What else can I do?
Right. Exactly. You always have to start with the end destination in mind and reverse engineer it, because then it tells you of what you're doing. Is it really practical? Mm-hmm. Just in that case there, if someone had to have 30 clients, if they're doing virtual system work, it's not practical if it's just them. No matter how talented they are, there are limitations to the human capacity.
Exactly. Unless, again, you have a different business model. Well, you have a team of coaches or consultants supporting your clients, and you only work with the highest level ones, and you have a team of salespeople taking sales calls and signing clients for you. Of course, we're talking now about outsourcing and leverage and stuff like that. Again, depending on a business model, but not everybody's at that stage. And with that come expenses. And we hear about, oh, I'm making 6 figures. Okay, what about expenses that you have associated with having you have at 6 figures?
Right. Exactly. That's one of those key things people sometimes don't think about, that a business has expenses, and is that responsibility to look at how can you put processes in place that make it the most efficient as possible. Not just like, hey, let's just throw money around and we're making it. Because sometimes if you think about a business, they look at it as, hey, we're making this amount of money, we're good, but not realizing what's left over.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, that's what really matters. Because if you're working hard, you're making 6 figures, but then you're barely making it, is the business truly working?
Yeah. And of course, everybody has to go through specific stages before they can apply and implement and deploy all those leveraged, technologies and team and stuff like that. So while you are in that process, let's find a way that works for you. And then even, taking it a step further, not everybody wants to be lecturing in front of tens of thousands of people through webinars. Some people really want to stay small and work one-on-one, yet they still have those huge, bold financial goals. Okay, let's figure out a way how to make it happen. There's always a way.
Right, exactly. I like to say, as long as I'm breathing, I will figure out a way to get to the solution.
Always. Sometimes it just might cost a little extra.
Right. Exactly. There's always a way. And some people think, but how can you see that? It's simple. It's mindset. If you believe that something is possible, you're going to figure out a way. Like, I will tell people consistently, oh, that's easy. And they look at me with this confused look like, how can you see it's easy? Like, it's simple. Because if I tell myself it's easy, I will figure out a way, no matter what, to make it happen. Versus if I say, oh, that's going to be hard as hell, I've put up a barrier and then I'm not going to want to look at it. Because you naturally are going to try to avoid some things that are going to be difficult versus, oh, that's easy. All right. It doesn't matter how complicated it is.
Exactly. And you just keep going. For example, if somebody would told me at 8 years old that I will need to put in 5 practices a day, that essentially became 5 practices a week, that essentially became 7, 3 games per weekend. I don't know how many injuries. I don't know how many lost games. I don't know how many, whatever, penalty sprints that we had, for not meeting our goals after the games. I'd say, hell no, I am not doing that.
Right.
But, it's when you know what you want. To me, it was I just wanted to play basketball. I did not have those elaborate big goals. So it was a little bit easier,
Right.
I'm just going from day to day. But business-wise, and even if you do have big goals, so many kids say, oh, I just want to play WNBA, or I just want to play NBA or NFL or Major League Baseball, whatever it is. I want to be Formula One racer. I want to be world-class downhill skier. Okay, you will have to show up every single day. You will have to put in the work. And when it hurts, you push it a little bit more.
Right.
And
exactly.
Majority of people are not willing to do that.
Right. Because no matter what profession or whatever somebody wants to do, it's not just going to be this clear, flat road. It's nice and sunny all the time. You're going to have the hard times. You're going to have the struggle. But those are the things that make you stronger and ultimately help you succeed.
Exactly.
So now, as we wrap everything up, what is one thing, if you could pick from your vast library of knowledge, that you would recommend people do to start creating change and ultimately impact the results they're having?
That's a tough question.
I know.
Well, first and foremost, it's make a decision, yes or no, in or out. And if you're a yes, if you're in, then show up every single day without an excuse and do the work. And when you face plant, get up with a smile on your face, brush it off, say, oh, awesome, I just learned something new. Let me try again. Because there's going to be a lot of those face plants.
Oh, yes, exactly. Because it doesn't matter where we are in our journey. We all have them like, well, that was interesting. And you just keep on going.
Exactly. And, even in this day of age, yes, there are success stories, seemingly overnight success stories, but don't get discouraged. Because there's always a reason why somebody has been, I don't know, in a year over 6-7 figures. There was capital, invested. If you don't have that capital, well, you got to put in elbow grease, and that sometimes takes a little bit longer.
Right.
So stick to your journey. Trust that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. If you think it's too slow, well, maybe you got to find the support that's going to help you find the shortcuts or work a little bit harder. Instead of watching a movie at night, well, do some work. Instead of sleeping in the morning, what do you need to do? I know personally I need to move physically, and I've been neglecting that part for a couple of years now. And it started to show. So I know I need to do physical movement. I got to have my heart pumping. I'm not the yoga and meditation type of person. So I need to figure out, and I need to do what my body and my mind need me to do to be able to perform every single day while caring for 2 little ones.
Right.
So you got to figure out what works for you.
Right. Exactly. And that's so critical. So now how can people reach out to you and learn more about the services you offer?
The easiest way is to go to my website. I think it's going to be in the notes because the spelling is a little complicated. SaraOblakSpeicher.com. And there's also a resource page where if we pick their curiosity when we're talking about breaking the numbers and models and stuff like that, there's a ton of free resources available on my website that breaks down the different strategies that they can apply. Another great way to connect with me is also via Facebook. You can find me there. And I hope to be of a resource. Just let me know.
Oh, definitely. Well, I want to thank you, Sara, for coming to the Big Movement podcast today and sharing your wisdom of how you created success and those things which every business owner and entrepreneur needs to be aware of when they are growing their business.
Thanks for listening to the Big Movement Podcast today. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Now that you've surely been inspired to take your entrepreneurial career and business to the next level, you can stop by the website and get more. And if you're ready to boost your business brand, be sure to grab your free report, 7 Easy Steps to Build Your Brand Today.